So we've done a lot of lighter segments. We've done segments on, how to pick your cover art, how to avoid fake playlists, um, content schedules, how to stay motivated. We've done a lot of really good tips and tricks segments in 2023. So I'm definitely excited to get started on that this year. And I figured we'll kind of just start simple. So today's topic, social media. And what are we going to talk about social media? I'm going to tell you. So, I had this idea in the shower earlier today. Um, Heading into the new year, I feel like social media is a bit of an gray area right now. There was a lot of hype last year around new platforms like Threads and Blue Sky, and people were kind of not really like aware of what to do or how to move or things like that. People were just kind of in limbo. And what better way to kind of kick off the year than to talk about which social medias you should be using in 2024? So I want to preface this by saying you should be using all social media in 2024, okay? Um, but when it comes to the ones that you absolutely should be focusing on, we're gonna narrow it down to three. But like I said, I want to preface this by saying you should be on all socials all the time. Um, but we're gonna talk about the top three beneficial ones to kind of kick off your 2024 and really kind of talk about why they matter and why you should be on all of them regardless. I still haven't touched Threads. Yeah, we'll talk about Threads here in a second for sure. Mark, what's good? Hope you're well. Welcome on in. Um, so yeah, top three. I kind of narrowed it down here, and I think you guys are going to be aware of what the number one is. And the number one social media you should be using in 2024 is 100% TikTok. It's no question that not only just based off of numbers, right? That has the largest user base in all of the globe. Um, but it's one of those that doesn't really have too shady of an algorithm. The algorithm's rather easy to figure out, and you could really get a lot of free exposure on something like TikTok. Now, don't get me wrong, TikTok definitely has its caveats and its downsides for sure. For instance, TikTok won't really push a lot of non facial content to the For You page. So, for instance, if you're not showing your face on a lot of your videos, there's probably a lower chance that a lot of your stuff is not going to do numbers, right? You're going to be stuck in the 200 view club. Sometimes you might get like 2K, but it's very rare that you see something get over like 10,000 views and, a couple thousand likes that doesn't have anybody's face in it. It usually has to be like a green screen video or, vlog style or, maybe like a cooking video or even just like comedy videos, things like that. You'll see a lot of things go viral like that, but you won't see a lot of snippets or stuff that doesn't really have like anyone's face in it. So TikTok's a very like media, in your face centered platform, but still nonetheless that's 100% the largest user base right now in 2024 and is pretty much free exposure because that's one of the only platforms that's not exactly pay to play. They're slowly rolling back how easy it is to go viral, but as of right now when this video is being recorded, um it's still relatively the same, right? Something like Instagram and a lot of other platforms might be way more pay to play kind of leaning, but TikTok is not. You could create a brand new account right now and have one video go stupid viral. For sure you could. And there aren't many platforms out there like that. So, TikTok, number one, for sure. Um, so number two, this is one where I kind of had like a weird like I couldn't really decide why number two was number two. But number two is 100% Instagram, as much as I hate to say it. Because I come from a time in like early 2016, 17, 2018 ish when Instagram was still very much easier to not only grow an account, but also Once again, get exposed to the explore feed, get exposed to more numbers, get exposed to a new audience. But as time went on, the pandemic happened, things like that. Instagram has changed a lot, right? And they've been heavily leaning towards Reels, much like TikTok, because obviously TikTok completely took over the market. So Instagram was kind of cornered, and they really focused on regular media, right, videos and pictures, but they didn't really focus on like a mobile viewing, right? So that's why Reels got created, the Reels tab got created, and short form content kind of took over on Instagram, which kind of sucked, right? Because Instagram was a very like personal platform. Um, but at the same time, it's still there. It's still definitely there, 100%. You could still, create an Instagram account, have really good, kind of well edited photos and videos, and still kind of curate content over there and curate an audience, no doubt. But again, it's very much, leaning towards reels and short form content, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's definitely right up there as far as user base and exposure goes, right? Because you still see people do a lot of numbers on Instagram. You still see newer creators kind of uh prove that newer methods kind of work, right? I think the thing with Instagram that a lot of people don't understand is that like people think they're like shadow banned or this, that, and the third. A lot of the older accounts from like 2018 and previous really got like shoved to the corner. You know what I mean? It's almost like they have brand new accounts now because you were used to like the way that you used to post. You used to post photos and carousels and regular stuff, and they used to do well. Well, suddenly somewhere along the line, post pandemic, it changed, and you could post photos right now, and it's not going to do half of what they used to do 2, 3 years ago. And you didn't lose any followers, right? And your account's not dead. You're not shadow banned. So what's the problem? It's reels. The only thing that really gets posted and pushed in not only like your regular feeds on Instagram, but also on your explore feeds are going to be reels, right? Short form content is the name of the game right now, which really blows. But it really only blows for people that like don't like short form content, right? People who don't like to edit, people who don't like filming it, etc., etc. Because I don't think it's the worst possible thing. But with that said, Instagram definitely has a more um like, I don't want to say diverse population, but Instagram is easier with subcultures. Like, it's a lot easier to find your subculture on Instagram than it is on TikTok. So that's why it kind of came in for number two for me, because it's still really good, but it's not as big as TikTok. So, for instance, on Instagram, you could really find, like an alternative hip hop subculture, an indie subculture, a pop subculture, a digital subculture, a video game subculture, like really fast on Instagram. And I think that's like a big difference between Instagram and something like TikTok. Because TikTok, you could have like Joe Blow from South Carolina commenting on your music, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, this fucking sucks, dick," and da 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 da, and you're just like, "Dude, how the fuck do you even find my video?" So that's like why TikTok is good and bad, right? Because you're gonna find people that are like seeing your content that are really just being shown your content, right? Like it doesn't matter if they, like your sort of niche. It doesn't matter if they like what you post, da 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 da. Like you'll end up on people's feeds that, you know, maybe aren't even in like your subculture. So that's the thing with TikTok. It's a positive, right? Because you can be exposed to new audiences, but it's also a negative because a lot of the times you'll be put in places where you don't really belong. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's a little bit harder to like slide into your niche. Whereas on Instagram, it's pretty easy to find like your subculture for sure. So TikTok number one, Instagram number two. What's the third? Um, so you should be always be posting on all two of those, but really all three of these. The third that I think you should really be caring about in 2024 right now, as far as like pure algorithms and like fairness goes, YouTube. And you might think YouTube isn't really like a social media, and you're right, it's really not. But when it comes down to where YouTube has been shifting their direction, a lot of the small changes, right? Think of the community tab. Think of how they've been pushing YouTube Shorts. It's slowly becoming more and more of like a community centered platform than it is like just a media platform for watching videos, right? Even live streaming, right? Like they've been kind of dabbling in that. I hear this year they're going to be getting rid of Google Podcasts and launching YouTube Podcasts, which is also going to be pretty crazy. So there's a lot of interesting things on YouTube that are going to be coming up that you should keep your eyes on, but you should also be taking advantage of how their algorithm works. So, um, for instance, the For You page and kind of the Explore page and like the recommended page is what they call it on YouTube, is very hot right now. Is very, very fucking hot. Like, you'll be recommended 13 view videos. You'll be recommended some crazy shit that you've never even seen before. But if you pay attention to what you're being recommended, like for instance, on my channel, I'll still be recommended like new artists that I've never heard of. You know, they'll just upload a song, and just because I watch a lot of, you know, videos and things like that on my channel, it's kind of figured out my niche. And I noticed that I'm being shown videos that are very low views, but also like really like relevant to like what I watch. So the YouTube algorithm right now is really fucking solid for people that want to be posting on there. And it doesn't even really necessarily need to be music. I definitely think this is for somebody that wants to do any type of YouTube content. You know, for instance, gaming and gaming kind of uploads have been king on YouTube for so long. But even now, like, I've seen channels with like less than 100 subscribers get videos that nail the algorithm, that get 1K, 2K, 10K. And it's like, how the fuck did that happen? How did you slam the algorithm like that hard? And it's because they were consistently uploading. They hit the upload at the right time, and they're probably doing their video details correctly, right? So they're adding descriptions, they're doing tags, they're doing thumbnails, they're doing the whole nine. And it's really starting to work out for smaller channels. So I don't really think it's really about YouTube Shorts on YouTube. I don't think that's really like redeemable right now. Just because I've seen, you know, people testify that they've like created channels just for shorts, and it hasn't really been that beneficial for their main channel, right? So if you dedicate yourself to YouTube Shorts, I don't think that's really going to be beneficial for you. I think long form content is still going to be king on YouTube. YouTube Shorts are just a way to like supplement that long form content. So, for instance, you want to put your teasers on YouTube Shorts, right, for like a documentary or maybe a music video or something like that. Those are what you want to be uploading on YouTube Shorts. You don't want to like dedicate your time to YouTube Shorts. Make sure you're uploading your full albums to YouTube. Make sure you're uploading your visuals to YouTube, your single audio, your documentaries, your vlogs, your interviews, whatever else. You know what I mean? Because I still am pretty confident that long form content on YouTube is pretty king. Don't get me wrong, there's still a high chance that you could have a short completely pop off. But what it does for your channel and traffic wise, I don't necessarily think that it really means that your channel's about to blow, for sure. I definitely think that you need the long form content to supplement the short form content, 100%. Because if people really wanted to just go scroll short form content, like some people like YouTube Shorts, but most of, most of the population is on TikTok for their short form content. YouTube Shorts is just a way to kind of, you know, spam yourself into the algorithm while not being able to like fully dedicate yourself over there. There's a very like specific line that you want to ride when it comes to YouTube and YouTube Shorts. But YouTube definitely takes the cake for number 3. And all of these choices are based off of like pure honest algorithms. Um, these are the ones that you really don't have to pay to play for. These are the ones that you really can get like at least free exposure on and be exposed to a new audience. Um, and you know, if you're popping on Facebook or if you're popping on Twitter or if you're popping on Tumblr, keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that those aren't popping. This is more in the mindset of like a new artist or somebody who doesn't really have that big of a following yet. Where should they focus? Where should I put my effort? First things first, man, you should be on all socials regardless, right? You should be on Twitter, you should be on Threads, you should be on Tumblr, you should be on Facebook, you should be on all of them 100%, because there's going to be a different audience on each platform for you, for sure. But, you know, those 3 are going to be the ones to kind of see a lot of natural traction when it comes to 2024. You know, because you still have things like Twitter and Threads and Blue Sky that are like way more intimate and way more easier to update, and you can really like um you can really garner like a lot of good engagement with supporters through those platforms, right? Because not a lot of these other platforms that I mentioned make it as easy to talk to people. Even Instagram, right? Like Instagram comments and DMs aren't exactly what, maybe Twitter DMs or Twitter threads are, or threads the platform itself, right? I still think those are like king in terms of like natural engagement and like being intimate and really engaging with your supporters and people that you enjoy as well. So that's why I say you need to be on all socials, right? Because there's an audience for you on every single one of them. It just depends on like how hard you go on each, right? Because you're gonna find people that go super hard on TikTok, but you know they don't put as much effort into X, Y, or Z. But you know maybe they should, right? Like if you ever run into a brick wall, that's a really great way to look at it. And you're like, damn, like maybe I'll try X, Y, or Z. Like don't really switch it up too much because you still need to be everywhere at all times, regardless. Like no matter what your personal top three are, I still think that you should be everywhere regardless. It really doesn't matter. Um, but heading into the new year, short form content and long form content when it comes to media are definitely going to be a big play for sure. And then you can use platforms like Twitter and Threads and Blue Sky to really like supplement that content, right? I still think you should be promoting on there. You should be active on there. You should be engaging on there. And yeah, yeah, I think that about caps it off for sure. I'd read that for Threads, whatever you post can become Threads property and they use it for themselves. So anything not true made me hesitant. Well, I mean, realistically, that's like every social media, right? Like that's realistically every single social media. Like the second you post on it, like technically it is their content, but it's only to a certain degree, right? Like if it's something that you created, you're still gonna own the copyright, which means that whole area can get really gray. But yes and no. You know what I mean? Because you could say the same thing for Instagram. Instagram has the same policy. You know what I mean? So I believe TikTok does as well, but it's really not a matter of them owning the content. It's more so you having your shit in line. So for instance, if you know for a fact that you own something and you're posting it everywhere, you're fine. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be very rare for a platform like that to like outright kind of like soft steal someone's content and not have them be aware of it. You know what I mean? That's a thing there. Um and even if so, like that's a really big gray area in terms of legality, right? Because if you own a copyright and it has X, Y, or Z terms on it, or even just like the basic copyright. Like the second you post anything on the internet, it's pretty much copyrighted. Even if you don't have like something like an LLC, it's still yours. You know what I mean? That's why like song takedowns, for instance, you don't necessarily need to copyright a song, but if somebody copyrights your song and says, "Hey, that's my song," and you're like, "No, I have the project file right here," and Spotify's like, "Okay, no problem. Like it's your song." That's kind of like the case there as to where it's just like, okay, like you can't really do that. But I haven't really read of any cases where somebody legitimately had that happen to them. It's definitely like in the terms and conditions for sure. But since that whole conversation was a thing, I have yet to see anybody kind of be like, da 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 da, this happened to me here. Because a lot of like those major platforms, they want to do it right. You know what I mean? Like they really want to do it right. They don't want to have any problems just as much as we don't want to have any problems. You know what I mean? So if they create an insane ad, right, with your music and they go and put it out without your permission, 100% if they got slapped with like a lawyer email or a DMCA takedown, they would either A comply or just get the rights for it. You know what I mean? But I can't even really see that happening because these companies are way too big to like pull some sneaky shit like that, especially for like how easy things go viral. Like people got to be realistic with that kind of thing, right? Like I definitely get why people want to protect shit like that, but it's like you're never going to be able to like post anything at all if you think like that. You know what I mean? Like the other day, like I saw on Reddit, somebody was curious on how they could prevent people from like saving photos on their website. They were like, how could I stop somebody from, saving my photos and just right clicking? And it's just like, you really can't. You can't. Like that's like a part of the internet. You know what I mean? But the next step to that is if somebody were to actually like take your content and try to like pass it off as their own, like say Music Mondays, right? For instance, say somebody took the Music Mondays logo and tried to go do what we do. It's quite literally obvious that we were here first and you stole the logo. You know what I mean? Like it's very obvious that you're not getting away with that. You're just not getting away with that. So if somebody wanted to, take your art and post it somewhere, or do this or do that. Like you 100% are in the right. You know what I mean? It's clearly yours. You clearly posted it first. You have the project files. Da 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 da. Whatever. You know what I mean? So you can't really be super cautious when it comes to posting your work online because one, you should be keeping track of it, and two, anybody who does that is literally like very very stupid, very stupid, because that's one thing I definitely have seen is stolen content get taken down really fast. And it doesn't really matter what it is, you know what I mean? It could be art, could be music, could be a YouTube video, could be anything. Like that's one thing that these companies will not play about is copyright shit, for sure. That's a fact. So for anybody out there that is kind of worried about that, because I've definitely seen that like become a conversation for quite a while. You know what I mean? How do I protect my art? X, Y, or Z. Like, one, just keep track of it, and two, make sure you protect yourself. You know what I mean? But don't be afraid to like post your stuff because somebody's gonna steal it or X, Y, or Z. No, no. As long as you have your ducks in a row and know where you're kind of like leaving a trail, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? You'll 100% be fine. And most stuff is copyrighted right off the rip. You know what I mean? You do have rights to a basic copyright. Like you don't even need to file for a copyright. Like as soon as you create something and post it, it's essentially yours. So as long as you can prove it to a certain degree. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. You know what I mean? Because I think getting your art and music and content out is more important than protecting it. Because I think protecting it can hurt yourself in like the long run. You know what I mean? So um and not like protecting it in the regular way. I just think that like if you are overprotective, you'll end up not releasing anything and you'll run into a lot of roadblocks and da 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 da. Like people just want the art, man. And like there are scumbags in this world, but you got to be a real special scumbag to steal shit. For sure you do. So again, just keep your eyes peeled, always give yourself a quick Google or some shit like that, you know what I mean? And keep your stuff in line and don't be afraid to spam your stuff everywhere. You know what I mean? 2024 is definitely everyone's year, and anybody who wants to make it their year can, right? They can smash all their goals. They can go absolutely fucking crazy. Like it's all on you, man. So yeah, to cap this conversation off, top three socials going into 2024. Realistically, all of them. You should be on all of them, but three that you can focus on if you don't have an audience or you're kind of stuck in limbo. Without a doubt, TikTok is number one. Instagram is your number two, and YouTube is your number three. Um, so yeah, that'll be uploaded on the Music Mondays YouTube channel. Definitely like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe, all that good stuff. I think we're 10 subs away from 250 at the time of this recording. So subscribe to the channel, man. We upload 2 times a week. Let's get it, baby.